So you decide you're interested in getting married. Then what? In this video, we'll discuss the nitty-gritty of starting the marriage process. Who should you involve and what should you prepare? The first thing to know about starting the marriage process is that everybody has different circumstances. You might find that different aspects apply to you and different aspects don't apply to you. Please be sure to use the advice based on your circumstances and what you feel is best. The first aspect when it comes to deciding that you want to get married, and the assumption is you've either found someone or your parents have found someone and you have agreed to it, is to seek out a mentor. Now, this is a piece of advice I give to everyone. A mentor is someone who's going to help you to answer difficult questions. They're going to be a sounding board, someone you can ask things and help reflect through different processes in the marriage process. It's also very important because they can help you see sometimes where your judgment might be lapsing or help bring things into your consideration you might not have ever thought of. So when choosing a mentor, think of someone who meets the following qualities. The first one is obviously think of someone who has your best interest at heart. Hopefully that's many different people, but that doesn't mean that everyone qualifies to be your mentor. Another consideration for a mentor is someone who is wise, someone who is going to tell it to you straight or help you to answer very tough questions, someone who has the knowledge base or maybe even the experience to be able to do it. This means avoiding people who are just going to agree with you on everything or be extremely excited without offering you important constructive criticisms. These are really the two most important aspects of seeking out a mentor. Now, you find a mentor, you have someone who you can brainstorm with who's going to help offer you some very necessary advice when it comes to going through the marriage process. I'm happy for you. But that's not where I end. It's really important that you involve the ultimate mentor when it comes to this process, and that is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So make sure that you prioritize istikhara. Istikhara is something that is going to be important no matter where you're from or what your circumstances are. Istikhara is a specific prayer that we Muslims do when making a big decision. Go ahead and seek out some YouTube videos that can help you pray if you've never prayed the salah before, and be comfortable praying it multiple times if necessary. Now, at some point or another, there's going to be a form of a courting period. The courting period is essentially the point in time, and it may happen after a formal engagement or before a formal engagement, depending on your culture, family expectations, or your circumstances. The courting period is essentially where you're able to really assess, is this a person who would be a good match for you? In this period, be comfortable thinking of what the different questions are you should ask. There are different categories of questions. For example, religiosity, questions about the person's education, questions about their lifestyle, about their family, about their expectations in marriage. There are many different resources that you can find on the internet. Just go ahead and look up questions to ask before getting married, and you'll find several PDFs and worksheets that can be very helpful when it comes to that. That piece of knowledge is extremely important because you don't ever want to be walking into such an important decision in your life without having the necessary knowledge to make that decision. At one point, your parents are going to have to be involved, obviously. It is ideal that you have them involved from the beginning, but as I mentioned earlier, people have different circumstances and it might not be possible, either because of family estrangements or perhaps family culture might make it very difficult to be able to have a proper courting period and getting to know the person in a way that is appropriate according to Islam. But once your parents do know the intention, it is very helpful because now the parents of the two potential spouses can meet and discuss different expectations. Expectations vary across cultures, across families, and when you have a clear idea of what those expectations are, it's going to be very helpful in the process. It's nice to have your parents do that part for you because it can be a lot less intimidating and it can ensure that they're able to navigate the process in a way that puts your interest at heart. Now, let's say you guys finally have agreed and families have agreed and parents are in agreement and obviously things are going ahead. it's important to start considering other preparations, and this is going to vary, again, depending on where you're at in life and what the expectations of the family are and what the cultures are. Those different preparations might be preparing for the wedding party or parties, depending on your culture. It might mean that if you are the man in the situation, you need time to save up for a meher if a meher hasn't already been saved up for. It might mean that an expectation was provided to you that you weren't previously expecting. For example, that your parents or the parents of the prospective spouse want you to have a home first or an apartment set up first or whatever it might be. When you know those preparations, you're able to go ahead and start preparing for them before ever getting married. Ultimately, I ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to make this the easiest process. I know it can be extremely stressful and difficult. My biggest advice to you if you're in this situation is really pick and choose your battles and remember what the long-term goal is and what's going to get you there in the fastest and most appropriate and God-fearing way as possible. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.